You're looking to buy a brand new electric crossover. You're looking at the Tesla Model Y and the updated Model Year 24 Volvo XC40, but you don't know which is the best electric car for you, with the Volvo XC40 being updated for the Model Year 2024 with a bigger battery, better efficiency, and faster charging. Should you go for that, or should you go for the default choice, the Tesla Model Y? Well, in today's video, we're going to dive deep into the details, and hopefully at the end of the video, you'll be able to make the best decision for you. Let's kick off this video talking about the exterior design. And yes, this is going to be subjective, but I do believe that objectively, more people are going to find the XC40 just better looking, more attractive. So first off, it has a very clean Scandinavian design. It looks very modern and has a traditional SUV shape, that two-box design. And I think that's going to appeal to more people. It's more traditional. And from what we can see on the internet, coupe SUVs don't seem to be people's favorite body style, and the Model Y is a coupe SUV. Me personally, I do like coupe SUVs. I do think the Model Y is one of the best looking Teslas, but compared to that XC40, I just think it looks bland and boring. And then you have the alternative for going for the Volvo C40, which, isn't actually the topic of today's video, but if you do want a coupe SUV, I think the Volvo C40 is even better looking than that XC40. And then we have the exterior dimensions. And yes, this is going to play a different role when we're going to talk about interior space, but at least for exterior, the Volvo XC40 is around 30 centimeters shorter than that Tesla Model Y, and that is a substantial difference. It's going to be a little bit more narrow and a little bit taller. Again, more traditional SUV styling. But for a lot of people, especially here in Europe and in Asian countries where you have small and tight city streets and parking spaces are generally smaller when it comes to city centers and just shopping malls and stores in general, I think that XC40 has a very nice size. It's kind of in a sweet spot. That Model Y, for a lot of markets, it's going to be too wide and too long. When it comes to the interiors of these two cars, they are even more different than they are on the exterior. So the Tesla has a very clean, super minimalistic design, single central screen, but it is very airy and roomy and practical. In the front cabin, in the rear seats, that flat floor in the rear seats is going to be very spacious for 3 adults. It also has a huge front and a huge trunk. On the other hand, the interior is a little bit more cramped in the XC40, where those smaller exterior dimensions are going to come into play here. The front cabin is just less roomy. The rear seats are less roomy, and also, at least on paper, the trunk is smaller and you have a much smaller front. But because of the traditional boxy SUV shape, I think if you fold down the rear seats, the Volvo XC40 actually is more practical in real life. I've moved stuff, big stuff with the XC40, not a problem at all. Material quality also very similar in these two cars. I'd say the Tesla probably has an upper hand when it comes to more use of softer touch plastics, but I think the sense of solidity, just the quality of the switchgear and buttons and stalks in that Volvo is better. And talking about stalks and functions and buttons, the Volvo has plentiful, even though a lot of the stuff is controlled by the infotainment system. Not everything is controlled via the infotainment system as it is in that Tesla. And I think that is a huge advantage for the Volvo. And the fact that you only have a central display in the Model Y is a huge disadvantage for a lot of people. No driver display. For me, I don't mind it, but I do prefer the setup in the Volvo with your dedicated driver display at 13 inches and the infotainment system screen smaller than the Model Y at 9.3 inches. I think when it comes to overall ergonomics and usability on a daily basis, the Model Y is frustrating because of everything being buried in menus and very few buttons, where the Volvo is just a pleasure to use. I think it's the least annoying new car to use today. For the sake of this comparison, we are comparing the long-range dual-motor versions of both of these two cars because they're very close on paper and also very close in pricing. And I also think that's the version that most people are interested in. Yes, there are rear-wheel drive versions of both of these two cars, and also there's a performance version of the Model Y if you're interested in that. So I have the most experience driving the dual-motor versions of both of these two cars. I've driven them extensively in my testing. I've also been to Germany in a Model Y, long range driving it on the Autobahn, and I have to say that the Model Y isolated is an okay driving experience. It feels very sporty with quick steering if you're used to other cars, but it's very choppy and not very comfortable in its suspension setup, and also the seats, not the best. The Volvo, on the other hand, just feels like a more rounded, complete vehicle. It's not as sporty with slower steering than the Tesla Model Y, but in the long-range versions, these two cars are going to be equally as fast, and also that Volvo is quieter when it comes to road noise, but a lot more comfortable and refined in its suspension, and also the seats are a lot better. Before we continue with the video, I just want to give a huge thanks to today's video sponsor, Recharge, the largest charge point operator in the Nordics, Norway, Sweden, and Finland, with more than 4,000 charging points across all of these countries. And they are constantly building new chargers, new charging stations, and updating their old sites almost on a weekly basis. So if you want to support the channel, go to the link in the description down below and find out where your closest Recharge charger is. If I made this video a year ago, I think this is where the biggest difference would have been between these two cars. But with the model year 24 Volvo XC40, the gap is much smaller. So pricing is almost the same. So a nicely spec'd Tesla Model Y long-range dual motor comes in at around 620 to 630,000 kroners. That is with the upgraded interior, that is with enhanced autopilot, so not full FSD, and that is with winter wheels and a trailer hitched. The Volvo XC40 with the 19-inch wheels, the upgraded interior, pixel LED headlights with the ultimate trim, and all the bells and whistles comes in at 640,000 kroners, again with winter wheels and a trailer hitch. So I think the price difference is very small. Yes, there are going to be things on the Tesla that you don't get on the Volvo at this price and vice versa, and you can spec them differently. So the price difference is bigger or smaller, but either way, I think this is how people would probably spec their cars if they're going to have them for a while. So price difference almost non-existent, and then you have range, which actually is in favor of the Volvo. It has a little bit more range, and then you have the charging where they're going to be equally as fast, but that fast charging speed with the Tesla, you're only going to get that at Tesla superchargers, where that Volvo, you're going to get that charging speed at Tesla superchargers and with all other charge point operators. At the end of the day, only you know which electric car fits your use case the best, but I think for me and a lot of people, the model year 24 Volvo XC40 is just an overall better package. It improves where it matters, range and efficiency and charging, and now with pricing being so close, I think it is a no-brainer. Yes, the Tesla is going to be more practical. Yes, you do have the supercharger network with the Tesla, but at everything else, when it comes to driving, usability, and owning the car on a daily basis, I think that Volvo XC40 is really hard to beat. So guys, let me know what you think down below, which is the best of these two cars. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please drop me a thumbs up down below. And for more car content, as always, please subscribe. See you guys later and goodbye.